shut up, you listen to my monkey mouth. There's a companion when you got pun on the canoa route. Hopped in a portal and got in a fight, Elias knocked him out. Bow, Naruto fighting style. Bow, UFC he tapped out. Bow, we win, we get crowned. Monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth.
All right, man. Welcome to SUYL. My name is Elias.
Jason.
All right, Jason. So we were talking. You were talking about being with the guy who started Bowling for Soup, right?
Right.
And so I don't know if you remember Chris Farley. Whenever he'd get around like the famous people, and he was like around Paul McCartney, and he's like, do you remember when you sang with that'd be me. That'd be me with him. Like, do you remember Come Back to Texas?
Right.
Do you remember Stacy's Mom? Like, I just imagine me just like being like Chris Farley with him all day. Like, Yeah. Do you remember like being on MTV? And just like, so I just thought that'd be funny. Just like me like kind of squirming in my chair, like talking to the guy who sings for Bowling for Soup. But so like you said, you get to experience that. Like you get to experience them like on like an even plane. So it's like they're just guys. They put out their And not to make this so much about me, but when I was first starting out, like I think it was like my 4th or 5th episode, I interviewed swingers, and so I wanted them to be like just normal. Mm-hmm. Like do they fight? Is there steak night?
Right.
And so my buddy Josh was like, dude, you were like a deer in the headlights. You're like a fawn talking to like 2 foxes. It was like, so it was really fun. So I just imagine it's kind of in that same scenario where you're kind of, you just kind of have to like understand that they're in the same, they eat, they sleep, they do it.
Right. Just people.
They're just people. Yeah. So you play fiddle, right? Is there a particular guy who you were kind of like I like Steve Martin's way, like when Steve Martin kind of taught himself to play the banjo, like slowed down the record, played it by ear and kind of tweaked it. Is there a particular guy you were a person you were like, oh, this is who I'm gonna kind of like, model or particularly kind of find myself listening to pick up the ear?
So when I was a kid, I learned to play fiddle from a guy that sort of ended up in my grandpa had a shop where he just like traded and sold stuff.
Okay, yeah. So a swap meet or something.
He had a store front where he lived and sold stuff, and this guy came in and I think my grandpa had a fiddle, and the story goes that I told my grandpa that I wanted to play the fiddle like that guy because he picked up the fiddle and played it. And so my grandpa was like, okay, that's what we're gonna do. And so I learned to play the fiddle from this guy named Carl Whiteley, and so he was the only fiddle player I knew at the time. And I met a few other people who were local players, local musicians from the area that I grew up in. There was one named Gene Christian who I thought was like the best, and I still think he's one of the most I don't know what's the word for it. He had probably the most soul of a fiddle player that I was ever around personally. But it's just people like that I knew, and then I actually put down the fiddle for many years, because I decided it wasn't cool enough, and I wanted to be more of a metalhead, and so I put it down and tried to play guitar and spent a lot of time in my room and smoking pot with my friends when I was a kid. But
who was it? Like, was it Jethro Tull that brought the flute, I think, into like rock music?
I don't know. Maybe.
I think it was like Jethro Tull or something.
Maybe.
They were making fun of him for a while. He had like a piccolo or something, and he was like this like and these like Jethro Tull, or I might be wrong. I think it's like there's like one of those guys who
I don't know, man. I don't remember. I after I picked it back up as an adult, I just pretty much just
ran with it
and played on, tried to play the kinds of things that I heard on recordings that I liked.
So this is like hack, but I gotta ask, did you like okay, I'm gonna learn Charlie Daniels? Because like whenever
I've figured out some Charlie Daniels, but
I don't want to be like, but it's just like, I mean, you go where the probably, you find that music and you're gonna pick it up. Like when I was there's like 30 seconds where I wanted to play the harmonica. Well, I've always wanted to play the harmonica, to tell you the truth. I really enjoy it. I find the harmonica...
Somebody who really knows how to play it is actually kind of rare. You find a lot of people who just blow into it. But
Bruce Willis is pretty neat that he can play it. I don't know if he particularly blows into it.
Yeah.
The Blues Traveler.
That's right. He had like a whole blues band thing for a while. I forgot about that.
The Blues Traveler, he's really great. He's got he's got like a
right.
little pistolero kind of
Right,
thing.
where he's got all the different keys.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. But yeah, so I picked it up as good as I could because I'm not really musically inclined, but Piano Man. So like, sing us a song, you're Piano Man.
Uh-huh.
It was like this nice little harmonica.
You played that part.
Yeah,
okay.
and I just like listened to it and went online and like found out how to blow in and out on it correctly, and that was like as far as I got with any kind of musical capabilities. Right. I literally picked up the guitar and like I couldn't play it to save my life. Yeah. Even if I'm left-handed, even if I flipped it upside down and stringed it to left-handed, my brain just couldn't pick it up. I just was unable to do it.
Well, you gotta have. I honestly, I probably would say that I think most people probably could do it, but what you have to have is like, you have to be able to have such a like an obsession with it that you won't put it down until you figure out how to do it.
Yeah,
you can think of it like some people might be obsessed with puzzles. Some people might be obsessed with whatever, like people figure out on their own. It's the kind of thing that you have to have that kind of obsession with, or you're just not going to get anywhere with it.
So you were kind of like had the like when we first talked before the podcast started, you kind of like, I've seen you around before. I've literally worked in every restaurant in and around Taylor.
Okay.
So that's probably
why.
That's probably why you know me. Like that was my big like I always tell Josh like I put in like it's not really the same, but I put in like not half the effort, but we put in 110% in this podcast, but we're not in it every day. So I put in like 10% less work into it, but twice as much effort, and I've gotten paid off so much more in like gratification than I did ever in cooking. And I put my entire life into it. I quit Twin Liquors to get into it. I put a lot of my blood, sweat, and tears to try and break into the food service industry, and it was just like, it was rough.
Yeah.
And this is a stupid question, but I gotta ask, like, so what's like the funkiest pizza? Like you were just like, I'm gonna throw like funky stuff on there. You just like,
oh, I don't know, man. It's been a long time. It has been 11 years.
Oh, okay, that's a lifetime.
Since I worked at Pizza Hut.
Josh is giving me a hard time because I was putting not sardines, but I was putting anchovies on my pizza, and he's like, "You're disgusting," and I was like, "It's delicious." It's amazing.
Yeah, I think I've only had anchovies in my life, actually only once.
Yeah,
and I had it because there was an assistant manager at Pizza Hut that I worked at who was like, I made a comment that I'd never had one.
Yeah.
He's like, well, the only way you can have them is straight out of the can.
Oh yeah, he's just trying to give you like a stroke. That's like all salt.
What are you talking about? And he's like, yeah, if you're gonna have one for the first time, you're just gonna have it straight out of the can. So we always had like anchovies that we would buy, and they're in the can, so they last forever. So we just had, like a
tin of sardines. Yeah,
nobody orders sardines on their pizza, at least not in Texas. But so we had a tin of sardines, opened one up and tasted one, and that's the one and only time I had sardine.
There was this little clip rolling around where Danny DeVito keeps like glass jars of sardines on him or anchovies on him and he's like, oh, that might.
Or actually, I guess it was anchovies.
Anchovy. I say sardines, but I meant anchovies. But it's whatever. I mean, like, if someone criticizes us on saying anchovies and sardines, they can kick rocks because it's just like, Jesus, man.
Yeah, I think they're probably very similar tasting because it's
just a tiny salty fish.
Yeah,
man, please, yeah. So yeah, the one thing I worked at a liquor store for about 7.5 years, so I developed a flavor for scotch, like a taste for scotch.
Yeah.
I started off.
I remember the first time I had scotch when I was in college.
Yeah.
Was I college? Maybe it was like right after college. And we went to Opal Divines, actually, in Austin.
Yeah.
And my friend was like, he was fancying himself like a connoisseur of scotch or whatever. And I don't know if he bought me this glass of scotch or whatever, And at the time I didn't have taste for it. And so I tasted it, and I thought it tasted like the worst thing I'd ever tasted. And it was probably like this really expensive, nice Scotch, but I hated it at the time.
Of course, man. Like if you're not if you're not into it, it's whatever. But you really got to develop a palate for it.
You do,
because it's just like, and it's also one of those things. Like I'm not in my 20s. I'm not a teenager anymore. So it's like I don't drink to get drunk anymore. I drink more for like to enjoy it. There's kind of like there's a little bit of like a how would you say it there? You get the clink of the glass, you get the nice flavors, you get notes, it's all there. You get so whenever I started drinking bourbon, I became really, really into like Kentucky straight bourbons because they have like more of a caramel finish. And then I would always rag on Canadian whiskey, but secretly I would be like, please give me more because like they make it so drinkable. Yeah. Canadian whiskey tends to stay sweeter, and it tends to have more of like a caramel finish. So you have more of like a drinkability with Canadian whiskey.
Yeah, I probably couldn't actually sit here and describe the tastes of different whiskeys or
I'm sure you could. I'm sure you
whiskey
could.
Without the E, which is always the Irish one, right? So.
I think you could, man, because like once you get into Canadians, you can really taste like the sugar in it. You can taste like it's pretty sweet.
No, I can tell the difference. I just can't necessarily describe it.
Oh yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. I went to this place called something Family Distillery. It's out there near it's like past Giddings. Cooper Family Distillery. Have you all heard of that?
I haven't, no.
It's like a whiskey distillery, family, like a
small family
thing, and they have a storefront that they keep open, and you walk in, and the building is like probably 150 years old or something, and they got barrels all lined up, but they got this little bar, and it's not a bar. It's just a place where you can come in there and taste the whiskey before you buy it. I think really, but that's what I did. I had a gig out there, and on the way back, I was like, I kept seeing it every time I passed by there, I would see it. So finally, I stopped, and I went in there, and they're like, and there's like 2 or 3 people in there, probably local people, just hanging out. And I went in there, and it's like they were like, asked me what I wanted. And I was like, honestly, I don't really know the difference between any of these things. So they gave me samples.
Oh, they gave you like a little flight.
Yeah, well, just like little tastes of their different kinds that they have. And they didn't have like a ton of different kinds. But they had a rye, and out of all of them, that was the one that I thought tasted the best.
Nope.
Like
Bullet bourbon is one of my favorite bourbons.
The Bullet rye is my go-to now.
Yeah,
that's what I get all the time.
Bullet bourbon or Bullet bourbon.
Yeah, I think it's Bullet.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
it's Bullet.
Yeah, Bullet bourbon, man. Bullet. I don't know. I quite enjoy it, and I stayed away from ryes for quite a while because I didn't know what they were, and I think it's just I think like when it comes to the things, it's like some are more corn forward, some are more wheat forward.
Yeah, particularly and I feel like most of the time with a rye, you can avoid some of that sweetness.
Yeah,
and I think that's why I like it. It's got.
I think the edges stay. It doesn't have any edges on it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like you get like these like kind of sharp edges.
Yeah,
where rye just kind of has these like smooth kind of like
maybe
it's not too sharp. It stays kind of like when if you ever drank like water too fast, it gets a little sharp. Stays in your throat.
Right.
I kind of feel that about bourbon. Like you can kind of get that same feel where they kind of have like maybe edges to it, or they stay sharp, or there's like different. It's been 13. I think it's been about the same, about 11 years since I worked in the liquor industry. So
I think it's funny because I think people describe the drinks that they have, or the food that they have, or music, or there's a lot of this when you talk about people who are talking about the sound of certain instruments, and they can pick up on the certain differences in the tones of wood and body shapes and things like that, and pickups and the way like the coil is wound one way versus the other way on the pickup. And I don't doubt at all that they hear those things. I just don't always hear the same thing that they hear. So it's just, I think it's the same with taste of this stuff. It's
like a cheese or a wine sommelier. Like, I don't know if it's a cheese sommelier. I don't know what they're called.
Right.
I'm gonna put them in the same house because I don't know what it's called.
Yeah.
But like a wine sommelier, like when they give me wine, it's like, oh, I can taste the wet dog and leather and
Wet
cherry.
dog and leather.
Yeah, cherry. I've heard people.
That sound appealing.
Yeah, I've
Wet
heard.
dog and leather.
I've heard. Oh, I played this great clip for Josh. It's this guy. He's leaving his wife, our girlfriend. His girlfriend's literally walking out the door, and he's like, "Well, to celebrate this loss, I'm gonna drink." And I was like, I think it was like Albaget or whatever. It's this like really like, and so he's like, you can just smell the pine, and I mean you can just smell the tar, and he tastes it. Oh yeah, that's good tar. And she's like, all right, I'm leaving. He's like, bye, and he's just like zero like zero care about her literally packing up shit behind him as he's literally like, oh, I can smell the body, and you can, oh yeah, that tar tastes good. So yeah, there's certain ones that like that I can't do. Like Arboged tastes like basically just sucking on a piece of charcoal, and I'm just not about that life. I can't do that. That's just not for me. But you get like I said, there's like wine sommeliers. You give me a glass of wine, whether it's red Zin or a Cabernet, to me it's just spoiled grapes.
Spoiled grapes.
Yeah, a little less
like sour grape juice.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, this one doesn't taste as vinegary. I think I'll go with this one. So. That's my like, I literally had an old boss who like, oh, he'd do the whole, and I'd be like, dude, you're going too far with this. Like, I can't handle you right now. And he'd be like, I can't do that. But
to each his own, right?
Yeah, I love to cook.
Do what makes you happy.
I love to cook, so I do understand like.
Right.
Like, I do love to cook. That's one of my favorite things to do is just kind of get in the kitchen, just have fun. And I made myself utterly miserable about like 4 days back. I did the new ghost pepper cheese that came out for HEB.
Oh yeah.
And it's like it's like cheddar. It's like pepper jack, cheddar, like another kind of like jalapenos in there. And then they throw in some ghost pepper flakes.
Is it like it's like shredded?
No, they had some shredded ones, but
cheese?
it's just like sliced, know, and it's got like this like skull on it with like, I think it was Carolina Reaper is what it is. It's Carolina Reaper cheese, and I like was dying, and I gave it to my boy Josh, and he's like, no, I finished that in like a day. Yeah, and I was like, God, you're a beast.
Yeah, I got into the super hots for a while, hot peppers for a while. We grew them. We grew the Reapers, and we grew the Trinidad Scorpion peppers, and
what do you do it with? Like, what? How do you
peppers? All that shit.
How do you like? How do you prepare it? Do you just kind of salsa, or are you kind of like? Are you incorporating?
My wife makes salsa.
Okay.
And I've actually cut way back on that shit because
putting a hole in your stomach.
Well, not so much that, but I think it's what I realized was what I was chasing after was the heat up here.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And the problem is that you never can get away from the cramp down here.
Yeah.
Like, I can take the heat up here all day long, and that was always what I was into it for. But, after a certain point, like, you just, like, why am I doing this just so that I can have cramps for 3 or 4 hours afterwards?
Yeah.
So, I kind of cut way back on that shit. Like, she makes them now, and she'll occasionally go buy some ghost peppers or something and throw a couple in the salsa. But that's about as far as I go now.
Yeah,
I mean, there for a while though, I was putting it on everything. Like we had some dried ones, and I would crunch that shit up and put it on my pizza, just like you crushed red peppers. No,
yeah, you're a wild man, because like
put that on the pizzas. I would put that shit on. I would just make bean burritos and fucking put sliced peppers in there.
Yeah, that's my old man can just
can't cook
bite
them,
into a pepper. Yeah,
you can't throw them in a skillet. Because you're gonna drive everybody out of the house, like
mace everybody.
Yeah, it's like exactly. It's like mace.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, my mom just got done making like a big pot of menudo, like so, and that's one of those things like real acquired, like.
Yeah, I can't get past like the what do you call it, the tripe?
Yeah, I mean, I think like
I can't do it.
If I always tell people,
the taste of it's great,
so amazing. I always tell people just go with they call it the. There's a three, like it's three sisters. So you have menudo pozole, and then you have chicken pozole, which is the menudo is the tripe, pozole is pork, and then the chicken is just chicken. And it's just like, and then the chicken tends to stay on the green side. I don't really particularly care for green menudo, but the pozole is probably the one to just where you would probably find yourself most happy because it's just basically a big.
I think the only thing I've ever had that somebody told me was menudo was it had
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Go with Basole. If you're ever gonna try something, you want to kind of get that same feel. It's hominy. It's a really beautiful like pork shoulder. Just cut down into little squares.
See, that's
good. But it's the reason why they're called the sisters because like menudo's kind of like for the celebration, so you get a lot of that meat. But Basole is kind of like the harder times, so it's like little pieces of carnita and a lot of hominy.
Yeah.
So like the hominy kind of overtakes, and you're struggling to find it, because it's like those are one of those struggle meals where it's just like literally the pork shoulder. So it's it shrinks down pretty good, but you're getting it's so amazing. Like you basically prepare it the same way you would menudo. Yeah. But yeah, man. So what's like one of the past things that you've kind of enjoyed cooking?
I'm not like a great cook. I make the shit out of some breakfast tacos. But
See, that's what I like. So you got me on there, man. I love breakfast tacos.
Like I've made so many different versions of breakfast tacos. What I used to really like to do is I would take a flour tortilla.
Yeah.
Like a big one.
Like a burrito size one.
Yeah, like a burrito size one. And fill it with whatever the fuck I'm putting. Bacon, eggs, cheese, all the stuff, some salsa, all the stuff, and then wrap it up and fucking put some butter on the skillet and just burn it up like not burn it up, but
toast it.
Toast it up on the sides. Like what were those grilled stuffed burritos at freaking Taco Bell? Like that's where I got the idea. I think
I had a California guy come through, and his thing was like putting French fries and everything. So
French fries on like a breakfast taco?
breakfast tacos, burritos. He'd be like, dude, we're not in California, so I'm putting French fries in my burritos, and he'd be like, nah, man, it's so good, and that guy could cook, but he'd be like, let me put some French fries in there. I'm like, nah, I'm good. No, that's all right.
French fries.
Yeah, literally.
Just like cook them up like that and throw some cheese in there too, and get it like crust, like some melted cheese on the tortilla. I don't know. I'm not fancy.
That's alright, man.
I just cook it.
So when you're not like kind of in band mode, like what's like the last thing you kind of watch? What's the Matrixy stuff that you've gotten into? Some like I'm in the Matrix. I'm chilling out. I'm vegging out on some television.
I just watch horror stuff.
Horror stuff. Okay. Yeah. See, I can't do that, man. So you're better the man than I am. Like as close as I get to it is like.
This is my season right now.
Constantine, man. Constantine
was a great movie.
As scary as I get.
I love that movie. I've seen that movie a bunch of times.
I'm a little scared. I'm like, ooh, tell me when I can look. But man, there's something about like growing up Catholic. Any devil movie just like gets me by the short and curly.
The fucking the Exorcism of Emily Rose. Do you remember that one?
That messed me up, man. When she's like crackling and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, dude,
They've had a bunch of those exorcism movies now. I think at this point, but that one was a good one.
That one was really a good one. Like I said, but Constantine just was on another level for me. I just absolutely love that movie. Keanu Reeves was so good in it. And
it was a good movie. I thought it was like, and you know what? It's a comic book movie.
Yeah. It's Hellblazer, Constantine.
Is that what it is?
DC, Dark Marvel.
Yeah.
So it's just like this beautiful, like there's like you got swamp.
I mean, I was never a comic book kid, but I
apologize.
I know that, but I know that it was. I knew that it was a comic book.
Like I said, I can get super referencey, so you got to forgive me because like where math and spelling should be, Simpsons references and South Park references overtake, and I'm like, can you spell Mississippi? I could, but I could tell you this really, really awesome thing that happened on The Simpsons 14 years ago.
Yeah, those.
I can't spell Mississippi though. I promise.
Those are the kids that I grew up with too.
Yeah,
but it just had some like pop culture references all the time. Half the time I didn't follow them, but like
my conversations like with my sister consists of like Princess Bride references and like Happy Gilmore references because I'm 35, so it's like that's like 80% of my childhood.
Yeah.
So it's like we'll go back and I'll be like,
honestly, if you're 35. I can see the Happy Gilmore, but you're probably still a little bit young for that.
Happy Gilmore?
Yeah.
A little young for that? Well, like that's the problem though, man, is like
you were probably watching it when you weren't supposed to.
I wasn't supposed to. Yeah, we laugh about that. I was watching Friday when I was like 11 years old, 12 years old. So like it was like
and Princess Bride, what was that like? 90, 89?
Yeah, 89. Yeah. Fred Savage was still like a little snot-nosed kid. I think it was Fred Savage.
No, not Princess Bride. Princess Bride was who the hell was in that movie?
It's not Fred Savage.
I mean, Andre the Giant was in it.
Well, I'm talking about like because Columbo, I can't think of his name, is reading to I think who is Fred Savage, if I'm not mistaken.
No, you're talking about Neverending Story.
No, that's different. No, Neverending Story, maybe Fred Savage, and I may be mistaking it.
Oh,
but
yeah.
but he's sick in bed, and his dad.
I forgot about that.
I'm sorry, dude. Like I'm a wild man. Like when it comes to this stuff. So it's.
You're right, Columbo. That's right.
Yeah, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but Columbo comes in, and his son, his grandson is sick, and he's playing baseball like on the Atari like 2600 or 3600 or 4600. It might even be Super Nintendo. I don't really know.
1987. Princess
Dang, that was the year. That's the year I was born. So that's why I always get shit from Josh because he says I'm a time traveler. The book was super different. The book was like.
This is the fact checking stuff.
You're being Jamie right now. You're being Jamie right now.
Yeah, that's right. I need fucking Jamie.
Jamie, pull that up for me.
Jamie.
Pull that up for me, Jamie. For people who don't know who Jamie is, watch any episode of the Joe Rogan Experience. You'll hear Jamie get called out like every 30 seconds.
I don't know. Anyway, they were good movies.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I used to get made fun of by my family because I could watch like the first 30 seconds of the Simpsons episode, and from the couch gag into I could probably tell you what episode it was for the first like maybe 7 seasons. I'd be like, oh yeah, this is that episode, and they'd be like, no, it's not, and I'd be like, oh yeah. I'd be like, oh, I said it's like Thursday. They've run through like the first like 6 episodes of like the like first series, so they're probably gonna play this episode tonight, and I'd know it. Just like I literally, television's my vice.
I don't watch much television anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm pretty busy.
So horror movies, though, right? So like, is it
when
like
I get a chance?
Eli Roth, or is it more like?
I don't know the reference.
So Eli Roth is like torture porn.
Okay.
Right? So that's
give
like
me a movie.
Oh God, what is it? Hostel.
Oh yeah, those movies
Green Inferno.
Really, so yeah, the whole torture porn. That's a good phrase. Like the whole.
I don't know if he coined it, but that I would probably put that in the same vein.
Hostel bothered me when I watched it because it was not really a. Like you said, that's why they call it torture porn. There wasn't much of a story to it, and the whole didn't they have like eyeball stuff there? That was just,
I think the best part of
scene with the torch, the blowtorch.
And they got the eye right.
Blowtorch the girl's eye.
That's horrible, man. See, I can't get behind. I like Eli Roth as a person. I think like he's definitely an interesting.
Judging anybody for making something like that. I just like that shit. Like
I'm not saying you are. Like I find him interesting as a person. It's just not something I ever got into. If I'm gonna watch something, it's probably gonna be campy, like Leprechaun.
Yeah.
Friday,
fuck yeah.
Leprechaun. Yeah, Friday. Yeah, I mean, Leprechaun. Friday the 13th. Maybe Jason. Or Jason Goes to Hell. Something super campy like that. I tried to watch Hellraiser, and it just like it messed with me too much. I was like, this
Hellraiser
is
one of those. It was also probably borderline.
Yeah.
What you would call torture porn or whatever. Although it wasn't torture. It was just
well, it was
gratuitous, like trying to do the best they could to disturb you, because like the guy coming back into his body, like coming like piece by piece and blood droplet by blood droplet, and like reanimating himself.
There's definitely like guys who have broken it down and found out that like through like I don't know, through backstory references. I guess it's about dependency. Dependency. So like. Where he essentially is trying.
Don't get me wrong. I like this story.
Yeah.
I like the story. I like the movie. I watched probably the first 3 or 4 of them. I like
that there's an actual story too. Like you said, there's an actual like background story. Like the guy was a tortured soul. Ended up.
And I also enjoy the fantasy of there being like an underworld and a. Like a life after death, and the whole like these demons are. This is where they are coming to like feed off of your pain. And
that's what made Constantine such a great movie. Is like, I think one of the best scenes is the mirror scene when he's doing the Exorcist scene.
And he puts it on the ceiling.
Yeah. and it's just like that's like it's like a
It's
pivotal.
great
yeah.
movie. Shit, I'm gonna go watch that when I get
Yeah,
home.
I think it's a Constantine kind of.
What time is it? It's 9 o'clock.
But yeah, so like when it comes to I was joking around the other day, and like, you know, I pulled something out of the recesses of my mind, which was like dinner and a movie. Do you remember that? Like we're around the same age, so
Dinner in the movie.
So it was like they'd show like a campy, like probably 80s movie.
Yeah, it
and
sounds familiar.
They do like
what I remember is the fucking USA's Up All Night.
Oh, Up All Night was great.
Up
yeah,
All Night.
that was the same thing I think, but it was TBS.
Similar thing.
So it was
yeah.
like dinner and a movie, and there was like these
That's
two.
right, TBS.
Yeah.
TBS was the dinner and a movie.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and I think
Okay.
the USA did Up All Night.
Yeah, USA's Up All Night. And what was the chick who did Up All Night? Was it Judy Tenuti or
I think it was. I think you're right. Yeah. That's like one of those things, man. Like I'll go through these like weird, like even with music. Like I went down this weird rabbit hole where I was watching like because I like fiddles and I like the mandolin. So I'd go like I'd go down.
Yeah,
this
you brought up. I mean, you got her name wrong, but you got.
Yeah. I was
you brought up Sierra Hull, and she is she's a wizard.
I literally despite not knowing her name correctly, I started watching her when I was probably like 19 or 8. So she was
Just
on the
picking up on
she was on the upswing. So like I really, like I said, I like fiddles. I like bluegrass. There's this weird thing about me that I don't tell too many people because it's not really that's not one of those things that people particularly care to know. But my secret vice is like bluegrass music. I love bluegrass music.
There's no reason for that to be a secret. Like,
believe me, in some circles are probably I'm just
fuck those circles.
Exactly. But like no, I love bluegrass music. So like I was talking about like the Old Crow Medicine Show, like Sarah Hall. I guess you would. There's a handful of bands I can't think of right now that I got into real deep when, and I think I mispronounced his name as well, which was
Billy Strings.
Billy Strings. I think I called him Scruggs, right?
Well, there's Earl Scruggs.
Earl Scruggs, yeah.
There's Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs. They
Yeah.
were like a duo. I guess they had a band, but it was. You think about the Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah, exactly.
And the theme song to the Beverly Hillbillies.
It was like Hee
Earl
Haw, right?
Scruggs.
Were they doing like Hee Haw as well, or was that another one?
I don't think so.
Because that was one
if
that
you're thinking of Hee Haw, you're thinking of Roy Clark.
Roy Clark. So
Roy Clark played the banjo.
I got real deep into watching Roy Clark play the banjo because I like Steve Martin, and when you're watching Steve Martin.
Roy Clark was like a multi-instrumentalist. He played banjo, he played guitar, played the shit out of the guitar. Like he played electric guitar, acoustic guitar, everything. Amazing musician, and he was on Hee Haw.
Yeah, I loved watching. Like I went down like a deep, like just like
that's
deep down rabbit hole into like, and that's where I got to find this one guy was breaking down really interesting. He's a music teacher, and he'll watch like videos on YouTube, and then he'll show you how to play it, and then he'll kind of discuss like the really cool ways that they've done instrumental things, which I know nothing about. I just kind of like I love passion. I like finding passionate people, even if I don't exactly know what they're what they're talking about. Like Vsauce, you watch Vsauce at all?
Vsauce, huh?
Yeah, it's like mathematics and engineering. So they'll like break down like this like math problem that I'll never be able to understand. It's basically them talking like in a language, in a different language, in a different language, on a different earth, on a different plane, in a different existence. But they're just so passionate about it, you just can't help but kind of like enjoy them kind of discussing the ins and outs of the, like, they'll talk about paradoxes, math problems, just really cool stuff.
Yeah.
And if you ever get a chance and you want to go down like kind of watching someone just talk about something super interesting, because I think you'd probably get it more than I would. No offense to myself, I'm just saying you probably get a little bit more than I would on certain things. His name's Michael, and he's from the Vsauce. It's a PBS kind of thing, and so like they put it on YouTube, and he finds these like really cool math problems or cool paradoxes and kind of like talks about them, and it's a lot of fun. Like I said, I prefer to watch someone talk about something that I may not find interesting or may find inane, or someone may find inane or just not quite interesting. But if you talk about it with enough passion and enough delivery, I think you can kind of feel that. And you get kind of like this really joy in talking. Like like if you ever hear Quentin Tarantino talk about how he made Reservoir Dogs,
Right.
it's just there's like even if you don't know anything about filmmaking, there's something really kind of like dramatic and interesting about how he pulled it, like his best, like one of his buddies pulled money together, like wouldn't let him do it for the cheap amount that he was not going to do it for like $400,000, and he's like, let me shop it around, I can get you like I can get you like $1 million, and he's like, nah, I'm just going to do it for this, and he's like, give me like 2 weeks, just give me 2 weeks, and he's just like talking about all the things that he was going to film it in black and white, he was going to do it in this, just trying to cut the budget as like, you know, like as thin as possible, and then his friend comes in on the clutch and like is like, here's the money you need, let's make your movie, you know, something like that. Or I literally dissected There Will Be Blood. You ever seen that one?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Such a great movie.
I've only seen it once.
Yeah,
it was not the kind of movie that resonated with me enough to watch more than once. It was.
It's the first like I'd say 9 to 10, 12 minutes of it is there's no talking.
Right.
So I can kind of understand why someone would not.
Yeah, I don't remember. I mean, it was just like about the whole thing was about the guy and his like obsession with the oil. With the oil,
yeah.
and he, like he to the
detriment
of his kid, right? And
well, he ended up like that was one of the workers' kids. He died in the hole. And so he ends up kind of finding out that if he has this like adorable sidekick with him, you know, walls are broken down, and he's able to kind of snake in there, and able to kind of like finesse people out of money a little bit easier if you have a cute face with you, kind of like letting people's barriers come down, and kind of like working through their ability to see like, oh, he's a single father, oh, like this guy is a family man. That's why he was like, we're a family business. I'm a family man. This is my son. You know. So
and it wasn't actually his son.
It wasn't actually his son. Yeah, it was just like, I mean, it was to the extent of like he took care of him, but at the end of the day, as soon as he became competition, he was just like, now you're nothing to me. You're essentially just like everybody else. You know, so. Like I said, I like watching stuff where people break stuff down to the gnat's ass. Like I did the same thing with what is it? Did you ever watch Get Out? Oh, not Get Out. It was the other one from him. It wasn't Get Out. I can't remember. Was it? It doesn't matter. It was the second.
Jordan Peele?
Yeah, Jordan Peele's second movie. Get Out was his first one. I can't think of the second one.
I mean, I know he just put out like, isn't Nope?
Yeah, Nope's that's his third one. Yeah. But I can't think of the other one. But anyways, I watched.
Oh, he did the Candyman movie. He did the remake
of
Candyman.
One? Yeah, I can't think of what this one's called. That's
which was good.
You liked it?
The Candyman remake was good. I thought.
Oh, okay. Here's a great one that not too many people know about. That's like super campy, not quite a horror film, but like it's one that I think me and you would probably like know. The People Under the Stairs.
Oh yeah,
such a great movie.
Oh my god, that movie was when I was in 9th grade.
9th grade, huh?
Maybe 8th grade, maybe junior high.
Yeah.
I had some friends that we would get together and like on Friday nights and watch movies.
Yeah.
And like it was like a whole like it was a nerdy little group of kids, and it was like boys and girls and all, and we would get together and watch these movies, and we went over to we watched that movie at her name was Rebecca Pipkin's house. I believe that's where we watched it. Her name was Rebecca Pipkin.
Shout out Rebecca. Thanks for
shout out Rebecca. Rebecca,
it's such a great movie.
Rebecca actually sung a duet with me on my first album.
Oh, that's so cool.
But I'm pretty sure that's where we watched this movie. It was either that or at Chris Johnson's house. But she was there. We were all there. And I just remember that movie scaring the shit out of all of us. it's
like the leather scene where he comes down with the shotgun and he's just like, I think it's a shotgun.
Could
be a shovel.
So long since I've watched the movie.
Yeah.
I just remember.
Could be a shovel, could be a shotgun. Who knows? Yeah. I'm not too sure, but I just know that leather scene where he comes out and I'm just like, this is the scariest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. Like, was that a Stephen King story or something?
I'm not too sure. I don't think it was.
Yeah. What?
Stephen King always it messed me up. Like the first one, the original one, the Tim Burton one. But I'll tell you what really messed me up. It's not even a horror movie. It's when the guy who played it, I can't think of his name right now. He's on
Tim something.
Yeah,
Tim.
I keep wanting to say Tim Burton, but it's not Tim Burton. But
no. Anyway.
Well, he played Frankenfurter. He played it. You know, he was on what's it called? Home Alone.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But he did this movie called Legend.
Legend?
Legend, with Tom Cruise.
Oh, yeah, I know that one.
And I don't particularly know if he's the devil, but he's the devil. It's a red skin. And that, I saw on Thanksgiving, and I was probably like 7 or 8 years old.
Yeah.
And I was like, please turn this off.
God, that might have been like one of Tom Cruise's first movies.
Yeah, it was, and that just like scared the bejesus.
Yeah, that was like a fantasy type movie. I don't even know what the fuck the storyline was that movie.
I was like unicorn is all I know.
Unicorn, and they had to take the horn of the unicorn. Tim Curry. They had to take the horn of the unicorn for some reason.
I think he wanted it to control the cosmos or something like that. I don't quite remember.
What a bizarre movie.
Yeah, like there's this great.
And Tom Cruise was the Tom Cruise being in that movie is just a weird thing to think about. I don't know.
There's this great kind of conversation. I think it's I'm not too sure. I don't want to say it's him, but it may be him. And now I don't know his name because I'm talking about him, but it doesn't matter. They were talking about how revolutionary the cigar chompers were, is what they called them back in the day. So those were like the CEOs and the guys who owned like RCA and owned like Motown Records, because they didn't care. They were just like, make me money, right? And they didn't understand it, so there was a lot more freedom in it. And so then they talked about how so
they just like threw money at it and didn't tell you what you could and couldn't do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then the yuppies get in there, which are the cigar chompers' children, and it's just like the industry changes. They're starting to get into analytics. They're starting to get into like single cells, and like, you know, the Beatles came through, the Rolling Stones came through. So then they're like, oh well, this is what sells. So then you get kind of like this bubblegum pop, and you know, you get stuff like that.
Well, money ruins everything, sir. So that's the way. That's the way entertainment goes.
It is what it is, man.
That's the way every industry is.
I mean, even what's his name talked about Marvel movies being the new theme parks, right? It's just like there's not much cinema anymore, as much as there's just like a rotating cast of the same movies, just in different packages.
Well, there's that old theory like that really there are only like 7 storylines, and like derivations of those things anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's, I mean, you can kind of say that's true. I think it's the hero's journey that they talk about,
right?
Which is just the same kind of story, just told in a different way. Frank Zappa, if you ever get a chance, Frank Zappa is really scary.
Okay.
In the sense of like he like read the tea leaves way before like things were happening. He's like talking about stuff like, because you know time's kind of like circular or secular, so it kind of like works in a circle and kind of it eats itself, right? It's like a snake eating its own tail. So he's talking about, you can hear Frank Zappa talk about things that were going on back then, and it just really ties into things that are going on now. And it's just these really interesting, cool conversations of like Frank Zappa telling people like what not to do to like proceed forward to the things not happening.
Right.
And it's happening on a micro scale back then. But it felt huge, but it was happening on such a small scale because essentially we weren't tied into this free-flowing thing that ties thousands and thousands of people, hundreds of millions of people together. Like, you know, you can listen to like certain guys. I think it was like ABBA and Preach were talking about. There's guys in like, they're filming in Canada, and there's guys in like Lithuania or Brazil, or you know, even, you know, some like small podunk place in like Texas or even Kentucky, and it's just like we can literally touch everyone. We can with just like a click of a button, you know. And like Frank Zappa's like these are the things we don't want. Like we want, like, yeah, music is okay to touch people, but like the when the circle gets bigger, like the depression gets larger because like you're reaching all these people, but there's no value in it. And he talks about a really interesting stuff. I really quite like listen. Like I said, I could go down these strange rabbit holes of just interesting people talking. Yeah. So it was just like. He's one of those, I can't remember who he sang with, but he's like a really interesting singer-songwriter, and he even talked about I forgot who it was, one particular person who tried to steal his song. It was pretty funny, but it doesn't really matter, man. It's just one of those things. Like, it's interesting. Okay. And no, it's just like, it's interesting to talk about. Like, but so when, so I want to know, because I had when you're getting up there, like, what's the jitters like? Like, what's that jitters? Like, what's that? Have you shaken them off? Do you still get it?
Like, before I'm going to play?
Yeah, before you're going to play.
No, I don't get nervous anymore.
No more? Like, what was it like the first couple of times, though? Was it just like, like, how did you overcome that boundary? Like, that barrier, I mean?
Just repetition.
Just repetition. So now it's just kind of like a 9 to 5. Yeah. You just kind of just do it.
No, it's not a 9 to 5. It's not a 9 to 5. Okay. It's not a 9 to 5 for me at all. I do it because I want to do it, and I hardly get any money out of it at all. But
I just mean like I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean that it's kind of like it's one of those things where you're not as scared of it anymore.
Yeah, no, I don't get nervous because it's fun and it's something I want to do, and it's also not something that I rest my future hopes and dreams on. So it's just, hey, this is awesome. I get to do this right now. And if I fuck it up, shit, that sucked.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Just kind of move forward.
Yeah, I don't have like. It's not like this fucking.
You're playing Fight Club rules whenever you lose.
Yeah, it's not like this fucking I don't know, 8 Mile moment or something. You only get one shot. No, that's not how. Yeah. No.
Like I said, you're just playing with the Fight Club rules. Like if you let go of everything, you're free to have. Like you just just kind of like I'm just gonna let go of everything. So it's just like it's like
play. Like there are times when things like if I'm playing with somebody and it starts to go off the rails or something. I'll feel a little anxiety there whenever it's like if I can't hear myself and I don't know what we're doing, but most of the time I can find my way back to the song and just be fine.
Yeah, I didn't know how hard it was to just like jump in counts and do all this other stuff until I actually heard someone talk about it. Like I just assumed a band played.
Kicking off a song is kind of hard for me. That's a little bit anxiety inducing because as a fiddle player or whatever, I don't usually kick off a song, but I have, sometimes there are songs that start with fiddle, so I've had to figure out how to do that a time or two, and that's, especially when you sit in with a band and you've never even seen them before, and you're supposed to come in and kick the song off. It's kind of weird, but.
So let's talk about. All right, let's do this really quick, because not quick, but I just like so. What would be do you like rap music?
Yeah.
Okay, so like what's your top raps, like your rap artist that you like? Like let's just go top 3.
Top 3?
Yeah, we'll just go top 3.
Oh God. So in my life, the ones that I probably would have, my watch keeps telling me that it's time to go to bed. So probably Tupac. Because I grew up like from my younger days, the influences with rap would be Tupac and
so like
Snoop Dogg. Yeah. I would listen to Bone Thugs and Harmony a lot.
Nice.
I've listened to a lot of different people since then. I like Eminem. I like 50 Cent. I like Tech 9 a whole lot.
I got into like J. Cole, and I got into like Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah.
They're I got into them really deep, and then I got into that like East Coast West Coast stuff kind of. So I was listening to like NWA,
right?
And I was listening to like Eazy-E and stuff like that. But
you don't listen to any Big L?
Big L? Can't say that I have. Is he Texas based?
New York.
He
died back in the day. He just knows you.
I listened to like
back when I was working at Pizza Hut with Josh, I went through a big phase with listening to oh my god, what is his name? Houston guy.
Chameleonaire?
Zero.
No,
Zero.
Zero. Yeah, I got into a phase of listening to
Man
Zero.
of quality.
Oh, wait, Chameleonaire's, I think he's Atlanta. Or no, he's Houston based, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then next one would be like bad, like Creed, Nickelback. What's like one of those that's like I wouldn't say bad, but like those like ones that people are like, man, you like Nickelback? I don't think that they're particularly good or bad. I think they're fun. Like what are one of those that are like you're like?
I don't know. I mean, I listened to Creed when I was in like my.
I listened to Creed.
When I was like 20 or something.
Yeah, they were everywhere. You couldn't get away from it.
Yeah, and I also went through a very religious phase when I was like 19 or 20, and that was like, oh, it's rock music, but it's religious, and so I went through a little bit of a phase there. But I was always looking for something heavier and heavier and heavier. Like my favorite one at the time back then was like, there was a band called Stavesacre that no one ever heard of.
Okay.
They were, I guess, religious, but it was like almost like a Tool type of rock, progressive rock type thing, and then there was a band called Zao.
Okay.
Zao, and I think Zao went on to form, like, split up. The people that were in Zao formed a bunch of different bands. They were like, that was what they would call Christian death metal, I think.
Wow, I didn't even know they had Christian death metal. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, there was a lot of that stuff that I listened to.
Yeah.
If you're asking for like cringy stuff.
Yeah, cringy stuff, exactly.
Yeah, and there's some of that stuff that you might call cringy that I still think there's a lot of good stuff.
Who cares about it being cringy? You like it.
Yeah.
I like cringe stuff.
Like back in the day, I used to listen to like the first couple of Third Day albums. I thought were fantastic. That first one.
Like how cringy is Limp Bizkit? I love Limp Bizkit. He's
Limp
like
Bizkit,
ultra, he's like Limp Bizkit.
Limp Bizkit has made a resurgence because they're so.
Yeah,
cringy.
that's what I'm like. So
like, what is there a new album called? It's like This Still Sucks or
yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
Like they know they know they.
So
suck.
it's just like
They
I
know
mean,
they're stupid.
I love Sugar Ray. How cringy is Sugar Ray?
Sugar Ray started off as a metal band.
I didn't know that until one of my I worked for a coffee place, like a cafe, and my boss actually got me onto Sugar Ray's like death, like heavy metal side.
They had an album. I think their album were they really had their first big hit on it. I think, but there was like the intro and outro of that band was like very like thrash metal type sounding thing.
And we're about to of course, man. We're about to hit the marker. What was your first concert?
My first big concert that I went to, I think, was Tom Petty.
Oh, you're so awesome, man!
I would love to have
seen Tom Petty.
I went to see Tom Petty in San Antonio.
That's awesome.
We saw him in the cheap seats on the grass, and there was this dude, this drunk Mexican with a cowboy hat, like a skinny guy. He was older, like probably. I mean, I say now that at the time I thought he was older. He was probably maybe 45, 50.
Yeah.
But
then you get closer to 35 and 40, and you're like, man, that guy was old.
He was drunk and had a cowboy hat. I'm pretty sure he had a cowboy hat. And he was dancing around. He was screaming out like he's like, San Antonio, rock and roll capital of the world. And he just kept screaming this asinine, stupid shit. And he was dancing around. And at some point, like he started the cops wanted him to stop because he was like getting over into the areas he wasn't supposed to or whatever. Man. And they started chasing him, and he was like running and like laughing and throwing his hat up in the air and shit. It was
a real Texas.
It was almost as memorable. It was at least as memorable as the concert itself.
Yeah,
because he was just
my heart
having
broke.
A great time, but
yeah, my heart broke when that happened. When Tom Petty passed, like Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers was just like that was. Besides Stevie Ray Vaughan, that was like one of those CDs that like literally I think I burned a hole. Like
which one?
Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers when they did was it Won't Back Down, that whole album, and then Stevie Ray Vaughan's Live from ACL. I actually burned a hole in the DVD. I got for Christmas I got the Stevie Ray Vaughan box set, so it was like two CDs and his ACL live. Like he did a bunch of ACL lives, but it was just like it was like a reel of his best like ACL live stuff.
Yeah.
And I literally.
So I've got a video, a VHS at home.
Oh man, that's so awesome.
Because my uncle was a big Stevie Ray Vaughan fan before he died. And I don't know if I really remember this or if I just remember seeing videos, but I think I remember like hearing about Stevie Ray Vaughan because he died in like 1989.
Yeah.
And
Helicopter crash, I think.
9. And so I wasn't really in tune with a lot of...
Yeah, you weren't watching news. You didn't know.
Right. But I have a video
Yeah.
that I got that I snagged from my uncle at some point. It's a VHS, like, where he was recording shit from the TV.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So he's got MTV Unplugged stuff with Stevie Ray Vaughan on this tape.
Mm-hmm.
He's got stuff from ACL Live.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's got news footage
Oh, wow.
of after the crash. And it's he clearly just popped the tape in the VCR and hit record.
That's
and
wild.
you know what's funny is I haven't thought about it until this moment. How wild that is that I have that tape at my house.
That is pretty. I mean, that's a moment in history.
Yeah, he popped the shit in the VHS and hit record while they were talking about Stevie Ray Vaughan's fucking helicopter crash.
Well, we lived in Illinois when I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
so we weren't in Texas when Selena was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't know who Selena was because we were in Illinois.
Yeah.
So like, my parents listened to Spanish music. I was probably like 7 or 8 at the time.
Yeah.
And I still remember where I was at when Selena when they talked about Selena. We were at a friend's house,
Yeah.
and my sister's friends, and they were friends with my family, my mom and dad, and like they're in the living room like crying, like
Yeah.
the two sisters are crying, and we're like, well,
What
who is she?
happened? Yeah.
Like, who is she? Like, why are y'all so upset? And they're like, oh, she's just like the most important you know,
Right.
singer in, you know, Latin culture for like the last like
Right.
6 years. So like, and we were like, oh, so then we kind of like, you know, we're you know, later on they did the movie and you get to know more about her, but same thing kind of like that was like a moment in time for you know, us, like same thing kind of happened. I still remember, like it lives as like a snapshot in my mind of like where I was and when it happened. It's pretty interesting. On that depressing note of talking about Stevie Ray Vaughan's death and what is it, and Selena's death, it was a lot of fun until we got to that part.
Right.
I appreciate you coming through, man. Yeah. Thank you so much for doing SUYL. Thank you for doing The Ones Who Woke Up. Last thing I always ask people, what do you think of the studio?
Of the studio?
Yeah.
I think it's cozy. I think it's great.
That's what we want. We want cozy.
It's like chill.
We want cozy. We want you to feel like
Joss is over here fucking chilling out on the couch.
That's what we want, man. We want people to be cozy, everything but falling asleep. Like some asshat was listening to the Kahuna Companion, which is Josh's podcast, and he just falls asleep on the couch. That was me. I fell asleep while listening to the deep soul voice of Josh talking about Naruto, which I probably butchered the name of that particular.
It's the fucking anime.
Manga.
Manga.
What are we butchering this? Are we making you super frustrated right now?
I'm sure he is.
Doing good enough.
My daughter likes that stuff. I don't know anything about it, but.
All right, man. Well, thank you again for coming out. I'm so glad you like the studio. I would really appreciate you coming through. This is SUYL. This is Elias.
And Jason.
Where can we find you?
On the interwebs.
On the interwebs. Look for him on the interwebs, guys.
Shut up, you listen to my monkey mouth. There's a companion when you got pun on the canoa route. Hopped in a portal and got in a fight. Elias knocked him out. Bow, Naruto fighting style. Bow, UFC he tapped out. Bow, we win, we get crowned. Monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth.